Well, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and whoever or whatever you identify as. Welcome back to the Shed of Dread and welcome to another video. Right then, a little bit of a sort of break from the norm, I guess. Normally I do reviews and stuff and that will come. But this one's more about Noel Clarke. After I've done a live stream with John, where he went through some of his absolutely awesome article. The article link will be just coming up here on the screen with the hashtag, and it'll also be in the description. And it's important that before you start saying anything, which I'm going to go into later, it would be wise to read that article, because whether you think he's guilty or not, if you read that article, it asks questions. It demonstrates that the article that was used by The Guardian and by the two writers that did it is so full of holes, it resembles a piece of Swiss cheese. Now, you may or may not follow me on Twitter. If you do, or you follow me on this channel, you will be fully aware that I, after analysing both the Guardian article and John's article, am of the opinion that Noel Clarke is innocent. What happened to him? There is clearly massive gaps in the information. There are things that don't just add up. There are things like a video that no one has ever seen, or a picture that no one has ever seen, or emails and text messages that were never shown. And if you take the time to think, read both articles, and as I did, compare both articles together so I could see where John was coming from with his article, this shouldn't sit right with anyone, because the inconsistencies are unbelievable. The fact that The Guardian claimed 20 plus people had gone to the police, yet in a video by Noel Clarke himself, with his Freedom of Information Act on his own police record, he's never had one ever. Now, after that came out, The Guardian came out and said, to their best knowledge, it was 5 people, no more than 5 people, of which one turned out to be a man. So no more than 4 people went to the police with a complaint. Yet Noel Clarke's own Freedom of Information request on his criminal record shows that that isn't the truth. Now, I'm being very careful what I say here, because I'm fully aware that there are legal things, and I've got to be careful not to put myself in a situation. Hence why I never use the other word that represents not the truth in 3 letters, because you have to be obviously very careful of using such language in this situation. I've studied it, as I said, quite in depth. Actually, I've spent a lot of time reading it and going over it again and trying to see if the questions that John raised in his article that I could come up with answers to, and I can't. Now, if I can sit for a few hours contemplating and trying to figure out an answer, but I can't, means that there is never going to be an answer to that question. As in, a reason why The Guardian would say one thing, but in reality that's not what's occurred, when they're giving you quotes of evidence that has never been seen or shared. Because if this was a genuine thing, and if this genuinely was, and as a husband, father, and a man, it is within my genetic makeup, whether feminists like it or not, to defend women, to always be protective of women, because that's the right thing to do. So when you hear these things you naturally believe the woman. Well, you see, that would be right if that was me 7-8 years ago. But I've learnt now from bitter experience that it is always wise to believe no one in these situations, because there has been a very large rise in women making false accusations against men purely for some sick, perverted joke, because they're clearly mentally not well, or as it appears, in my humble opinion, and this is very important that you listen to that bit, in my humble opinion, that Noel Clarke's career was ruined out of petty rage and sense of injustice had been done to somebody over something. If you study the articles, the name Gina Powell pops up many times, but when you look into the back history of Gina Powell, we have interesting conflict of interests in relation to finances between her and Noel. And then when you look at, there's lots of links to other women who have alleged to have gone to the police. Of course, we now know, based on a Freedom of Information request, that none of them did, that a lot of them are either best friends with or have worked with or know very well Gina Powell. We live in a world where this is not new. This has happened before. In fact, as I'm recording this on this particular day, which is the 24th of August, there's going to be a programme on, I can't remember, I think it's Channel 4, listing 3 famous people who have been through exactly the same thing. Who, well, in the respect of falsely accused, obviously these 3 people are falsely accused of sexual advances to minors, Operation Crabtree, etc. So we've had 3 other, in fact technically 4 other very famous people who've been through this. They're all men, and I'm going to just run the names off, because you'll probably remember that Sir Cliff Richard, Neil Fox, Paul Gambaccini, and of course just recently Johnny Depp. Now these have all been high profile cases, well, except for Paul Gambaccini and Neil Fox's, that was left. Obviously Sir Cliff Richard's was very high profile, and that again was created and whipped up by the media themselves. I mean, they were naming him before the police had said anything. They were sending drones up and taking pictures of the police raiding his home as if they already knew. I think that was the Mirror that broke that story. And the same sort of thing with Neil Fox and Paul Gambaccini, where they got accused of sexual offences against minors, of which all 3 men now have been fully cleared, except of course, you know, their careers and their names will be forever besmirched, because shit sticks, whether you're innocent or not. Because as soon as a media organisation decides that you're guilty, and says so, in the world of social media, the dumb, the stupid and the easily led, and I am using those words thoughtfully and with malice, see this, read the headlines, go no further, jump on Twitter, Facebook and whatever social media they can and scream paedophile, sexual predator, rapist, and hashtag this and hashtag that, and I saw this and I've heard this from so and so, and we do this for clicks and likes and shares, because the fake people, shall we say, who live on social media, that's what they live for. They live for the gratification and the recognition of other people who think what they've said means something. And then when it's found that actually that's not what happens, these people either deny that they ever said anything, disappear into the ether, or continue to perpetuate the falsehood in some attempt to make themselves relevant. None of them, of course, ever offer an apology or admit that they were wrong, and that includes the media. And this is why I don't think we will ever get those questions that John correctly and rightfully has asked answered. Well, and not until obviously Noel Clarke, who's clearly suing, if I remember, GQ, Guardian, and BAFTA, I think it was. I think if I'm wrong, please, but he's taking legal recourse against these people. So until that resolves itself, which will take many years, we will never get those answers, because they're never going to admit that they're wrong. They're never going to admit anything. Now, I'm going to go on record here on this video right now, and this could be played back when the court case comes out. I will guarantee you that the Guardian will say they used that information believing it was true, and that they had been misled by people, because that's what they'll do, because they won't admit the fact that they wrote a hit piece, and it was a hit piece because it was done in 3 weeks. It was rushed, and if you read the article, even without reading John's beautifully worded answer and question raising piece, if you read that, you can see it's been rushed. It's written poorly. It doesn't make sense. It only names certain people. Now, you see, some people have been named, as in Gina Powell, etc., by using their own real names. Now, these are people who are prepared to say this on record to a newspaper, quoting their actual names, because they believe so righteously in what they are saying. But they never went to the police. Now, I know some people will go, well, it's because they feel that. No, because this is, I won't take that now as an excuse. I will not take I felt intimidated and didn't go and say anything, because if you felt intimidated and weren't going to say anything, you wouldn't have said it to a newspaper, knowing full well that this would go public, and once it hits social media, with the dumb, stupid and brain dead looking for the next thing to gain likes and tweets, will then immediately blow it out of all proportion by only reading the headlines, and then that your name is going to be out in the public domain for the things that you have accused Noel Clarke of, but then promptly didn't do anything about. Now, the motivation for saying something but not doing something is a question in itself. Why were you prepared to say to a newspaper? Why were you prepared to throw these besmirching things at Noel Clarke's name, but weren't prepared to provide any evidence or even go to the police in the first place? Is it because you were, can't use that word, massaging the truth? Or were you concerned that if you turned your phone over for the police to examine to find the evidence that you claim, they might actually find something that you don't really want them to know about, or actually perhaps put what you're accusing him of in context and therefore completely blow that out of the water? Again, we will never know, because, again, going on the record right now, these people, Gina Powell and all the others, if it's found that they are, shall we say, massaging the truth, colluding or whatever, in my opinion, remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is my opinion, no one else's, these people will disappear. You won't hear a word from them. You won't hear an apology from them. You won't hear them mentioned again. Now the problem is, of course, even when, and I say when, because I do genuinely believe that there was a big miscarriage here, not of justice as such, because it never went to court, because there was never ever any evidence and no one ever went, so it never went to court, which is unfortunate. It doesn't give him the time, like Johnny Depp did, to answer his questions legally. But a miscarriage of justice because of the trial by media and social media, and when you just take 5 minutes to engage your brain, and of course the brain dead, the sheep and the idiots who just want the likes, and has been ably demonstrated in several people putting up posts including a hashtag no justice for Noel Clarke and libelling themselves and saying some terrible things. They haven't read the articles, either of them probably, because unfortunately they find it very hard to string a sentence of words together clearly. And they won't read John's article, because if they did actually read the article of The Guardian, which I severely doubt, what they did is read the headlines and all the, this is wrong. They won't read that, because that would actually make them have to question themselves. But of course, these are stupid, idiotic morons. And no, I'm not going to sort of water that down, because it's not right. So, I'll go on record and say I believe that Noel Clarke, well, I'm not even going to say he's innocent. I just think he was ambushed, targeted for whatever sick, perverted reason, maybe for out of anger, jealousy, whatever. Whether, it was a multitude of things, and was done purely his career. He's lost his everything. Everything's gone for that man. He's suffering. He's, and that's based on tweets and things like that. I have no contact. Noel Clarke doesn't know who I am from Adam. Again, he really wouldn't know. It's not like I'm vlogging deep conversation with him, because I'm not. I don't even know him. I follow him on Twitter, but that's about it. Okay. But I would imagine, when he was doing his speech about the no evidence, no police reports, and he's suffering from PTSD, I can understand it, because, he had everything took away from him based on unsubstantiated rumour. And on that unsubstantiated rumour, he also had his BAFTA membership and his award removed from him. He wasn't suspended pending a police inquiry. No, it was taken off him. He was stripped. And it was all done very, very quickly. And things like that don't sit well with me, and they shouldn't really sit well with you. Now, if you're now kind of sitting on the fence, there is a Twitter page, and it's at justiceforknowledc. Links down in below, and that you can go there. The article's there, and everything that's been said. My live stream's up there. The live stream with Noel. I know John's just done another stream with On Comics that will be there as well for you to see. And just sit and read the article. And if you think that's right, and share that article, share this video, share the links, because the simple truth of the matter is, as the media won't step up and say anything, as the media are going to be prepared to brush this under the carpet and pretend it never happened, it's left to fans. It's left to people who are able to think for themselves, to question, to look at it. Let's be honest, even if you were, oh, well, yeah, he's guilty. If you watch that video of him telling you that he's done a Freedom of Information request, and it's come back that for his entire life, he's never had any reports, no one's gone forward, no one's made an official complaint, he's got nothing, Nothing on his police record. Not a dot. Now, if you saw that, that would surely make you ask questions about everything else. Because if you've read the articles, as far as you're concerned, as far as the media are concerned, and as far as the dumb, stupid morons on Twitter and social media are concerned, 20 plus people have gone to the police and reported him. But the actual evidence indicates that no one, zip, zero, nothing. So who's telling porcupines here? The Guardian or the police? Now, if you are now leaning to, well, perhaps it wouldn't be the police, so it's possibly the Guardian telling a mistruth, that's where you should go to. At justiceforknowledc, and that's on Twitter. And on there's all the information that you will need to read and for you to make an informed decision. I'm not telling you what to think. I wouldn't do that. I'm telling you how I think. I'm telling you, in my opinion, what I think has happened. You need to make that decision for yourself. Now, if you do support him, if you read that and you realise that, yeah, actually there's something not right, even if you do know, if it's just one thing, if there's something, anything that raises doubt in your mind that there's something not right here, then surely you should show your support to Noel. Noel is clearly in a very, he's in a dark place. His life's in a mess. What he needs to see is people supporting him, saying, look mate, I don't know what went on, but it doesn't sit right with me and I hope you get it sorted, because we need to support it. We're not, there's no such thing as the mainstream media. If you've read their articles, no such thing as bleeding journalists anymore. They're propagandists. The only people who are prepared to stand up and say something are us on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on whatever social media that you use. As somebody used to say, we are the new media. We are the news. Because we're the one, we will take up things and question things that the media would rather, if they now, and I would imagine the Guardian's probably thinking this right now, he wishes it could just sweep it under the carpet and hope it'd go away and all be good. And BAFTA are probably going, oh God, perhaps we made a mistake, but we'll double down and stick to our guns. But we won't. We won't stop. We will continue to fight, because there are other things that I'm going to talk about a little bit later on, not right now, but soon, where we need to start now coming together and standing up for something. Now, I'm no one. I'm a tiny YouTube channel, 170 odd subscribers, and a few thousand views. I know I'm just a tiny little cog. On Twitter, I'm a tiny little Twitter account, and Facebook. I'm a nothing. I'm a no one. I'm a tiny little thing, and I know this. But some of you out there aren't. Some of you are actually quite big. Some of you do have influence. Some of you do have, that presence in social media. So I'm calling from a little YouTube channel here. I'm calling out to you people. You wonderful ladies and gentlemen, and whatever and whoever you are, you wonderful mother truckers, you. Now, please, just take a look and think. If you genuinely think that Johnny Depp was right, then so's Noel. If you have that belief that Johnny Depp was right because he was misrepresented, Sir Cliff Richard, Paul Gambaccini, Neil Fox, and the thousands and thousands of men, mostly men, whose lives are ruined by false sexual predatory reports by women, then you need to support this. The only way that this movement, this chance to give this young gentleman a chance of getting something back, is us lot. This social media YouTube thing. And we need people's support. Well, in fact, not we. He needs our support. So come on. Please. Just look at the reports. Use this. Yeah? Don't be some, I'm ignoring all you idiots, you little stupid pathetic morons who like to snipe at things, and then when you go, well, prove what you're saying, they just go, oh, well, you're defending a sexual predator. No, I'm not, because if you bother to look, he isn't. If you bother to pay attention to his Metropolitan Police report, he's not. So carry on, do your little snipings, but remember, some of you may already be finding this out. If you start banging on about things that are libelous, that are wrong, and that are insulting, quite a few of us now, are going to report your accounts, and Twitter will take them down. And you have to be very, very careful what you say and do. Yeah, and if you just think, well, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to wind people up because I think it's funny, yeah, you're just as bad as people who go to a newspaper and make bullshit up about somebody, destroy their career, take away their everything. For what? Shits and giggles? And with that, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Thank you so much for spending the time listening to me. There's a comment section down below. You let me know what you think. As for the rest of it, this isn't about, for me, it's not about clicks and views and subscribers. The more people who view this video, the better. But in reality, I would want to see more people share this video. I'd like to see more people on the Twitter page. I would like to see more people having hashtag justice for Noel Clarke. And if you're a big YouTuber, if you're a big Twitter person, blue check mark, look at the evidence that you've been provided on the Twitter page at Justice for Noel C. Read it. Think. You know it makes sense.